Hey everybody, welcome to Sports Shorts and More. And to have 100% transparency, I am running a few minutes late. So I am logged on right now and look forward to you joining us. And I'm heading into the room now to get ready to start.
That's what I say, David. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
All right. He became right
We're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, we are live, so just want folks to know we are now live. I'm walking and talking, live streaming. So I just want to say hi to those of you that are out there watching. And I think what I'd like to do, let me know if you guys are okay with this. You guys, we always have our wonderful commentary, but nobody ever sees who you are. Would you guys be okay if I went around with the camera just so you guys could say hi to those folks out watching online? All right, so I'm going to go around. All right, so this is the Sports Shorts and More audience. We've got Judy here today.
Hi.
She is helping the co-host. We got Mr. Dayton Flyer himself, Tony. We'll give a little shout out to everybody.
Hey.
All right, and then we've got the man who always predicts that the Buckeyes are going down. We've got Larry. All right. All right, we got everybody. We got Sean here. All right, if I don't get you in the picture, let me know. I lost my glasses.
Yeah, he don't drop his glasses. You can't see.
I can't see.
How you doing out there? Peace.
Mr. Michael Morgan, big Bengals fan. Wow, we got special guests today.
Hi,
Welcome.
everybody out
You
there.
want to give them a shout out of your name and everything?
My name's Amy.
All right. I'm glad we got Amy with us.
How you doing today? My name is Austin.
All right. Brian, you joining us today? You're just passing through.
Passing through.
All right. So everybody, I just wanted you to get a chance to see our audience.
Good idea.
We hear them, but we never get to see them.
Yep, gotta put a face to the name.
And let's see, in the chat here, we've got Linda and Joel. Linda says, hey, Judy.
Hey.
And everybody, Linda says hello to everybody. And Linda, they say hello back. Larry's waving to you. Oh, I know we'll get you in there. Don't you worry.
Good.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we've got a rowdy studio audience today. It's kind of hard to
Rowdy.
reel them in today.
Oh, I know. They're all excited about that wonderful job that the Bengals did yesterday.
We're going to get into all that good stuff.
Being cynical.
Let me see if I can get the crowd lined up here.
Okay.
All right, Michael, Melvin, we're ready. You guys ready? That's all right. Well, because we're on the air. We got to keep this professional.
Yes.
So, all right.
Leaves me out.
So we want it leaves me out too. Because I will be honest in all transparency with the studio audience today. I am not prepared today. I've been swamped with so many other things. So I'm glad I got Judy here to bail me out.
Yeah, because I'm prepared today.
So let's talk a little pro football. We'll start with our favorite topic, the Bengals.
Yeah.
Sean, what happened? Did Bengals win or lose
man.
yesterday?
That was embarrassing.
3 fumbles on the first 3 drives.
That was
Ouch.
embarrassing.
Oh, Chris, and we.
Oh, my
That's pretty. Then one of them was returned for a touchdown, wasn't it?
Yep.
So what was the final score?
30 to 7. 30 to 7.
30 to 7.
30 to 7.
Okay, it was 14 to nothing for a minute.
Yeah.
14 to 7.
And then
30
30 to 7 was the final score.
Yep.
And who was the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys?
Oh, somebody we know very, very well.
Andy Dalton. That's
Dalton.
correct.
Yep.
And I'm gonna give a little commentary on Andy Dalton for a second. So, a couple things. One, I'm very happy for Andy Dalton.
Me too. He's a good guy.
He is one. He did a lot of great things for the city
Yes, he
through his
did.
foundation.
Yes, he did.
2, he's able to go back to his home state of Texas and play for the Cowboys. And at the end of his time here, it was not Andy Dalton's fault.
No,
It was, he may not have been playing his best football, but the surrounding cast around him was not very solid. That's right. The offensive line
it was weak.
was not very solid. I know A.J. Green was hurt a lot. So I just want to wish Andy the best of luck. Hopefully I know Bill's not with us today, but he's a huge Cowboys fan.
Huge Cowboys fan. I was looking forward to seeing him today.
I know. I was going to let him boast a little bit.
Was he able to go to the game?
He watched it, but I don't know if he went. He didn't. I thought he watched it on TV.
He was thinking about it. He said he was thinking about it.
But I'm now adopting the Cowboys as my team to root for in the hopes that Andy Dalton makes it to the playoffs.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
We got a question from our audience. Melvin.
I was sitting there and I watched the game and I said, what is wrong with you? When the game was over, I come to a conclusion. The Bengals could not hold the momentum. The momentum came like this. So when they go in there, they down there in the red. They get ready to score. They throw the ball. That's one time. Then they down there again. They throw the ball again. Then they down there the third time. Throw the ball. That's what you call can't hold the momentum. Because look, they hold the momentum, they blow it out down.
Melvin, you're right. They could not hold the momentum. Turnovers are momentum killers.
Yes.
And that's what happened.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
That's what they're doing. Just like that. But every time they always come to fall. So they said they couldn't hold the momentum. They hold that, they'd have blown out now.
Yeah.
Look, making a touchdown, and they equal. They stop scoring.
Right, Judy.
Stop scoring.
Yeah, dude.
It wasn't pretty, huh, Judy?
It
wasn't pretty, huh?
They did make Andy Dalton look good. But Andy Dalton made himself look good, too.
Yeah. He looked good.
We
got a question from Michael.
Dalton played a good game, didn't
he? Dalton played a very good game. That was my question, because I missed a lot of the game. I only saw the highlights. Did he get cheered or booed when they announced him?
No, they didn't.
They what?
He got a lot of AJ Green gave them compliments.
Good. He deserved compliments. Him and AJ had a nice career.
They did when Dalton came on the field and he played that star quarterback. They booed his behind.
Well, I'm glad that Andy was cheered because, again,
there really wasn't a crowd there.
Well, I was going to say for the small crowd that there was.
5.
They could
I know, but it's one of those things where you be careful what you wish for. Now, again,
yes,
we got Joe Burrow, and that's wonderful. But he's hurt. But Andy, I hope does wonderful things with the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Melvin, what do you got?
We skipped over Blake. Remember the Bengals had Blake?
Yeah, Jeff Blake. Yep. Shaking Blake. And he had that rainbow long pass to Darnay Scott.
Shaking Blake.
But he did a good job. In fact, Jeff Blake was just on the radio the other day. He's taking a job. I think lives in Texas, and he's taking a job down in Florida at a training institute to help young kids become college athletes and pro athletes for football. Yep.
That's wonderful.
It is wonderful. Very happy for him. Yeah. They've been doing a good job.
Yeah, they played the ball, plus we started doing real good. Then I mentioned that they mentioned something right before the game that are you sure that Dalton is just going to be the backup quarterback? Because what's his name kept saying he might be the starter, and they might trade off what's his name? What was his name? Prescott.
Oh, Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to trade Dak Prescott. Well, let's talk about a few more games from the NFL. Last night, the Buffalo Bills
they tore up,
beat up the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That makes twice the Steelers lost. 2 games in a row, the Steelers lost.
Well, because sometimes to beat up the bully, you got to be a little bit of a bully, and that's what the Buffalo Bills were last night.
Oh, yeah. That was a good game.
What's that?
Yeah, the smart strategy for that. If you're the big time bully, you should look around.
And unfortunately, Pittsburgh's having the problem that we kind of ran into is injuries are starting to catch up to them.
Yep.
They were down to just 5 offensive linemen. If anybody else got hurt, they didn't have any more offensive linemen to put in. So they've had some guys get hurt. So Pittsburgh lost.
Yeah, 15-26.
Who was the Bengals starting quarterback?
Allen. Yes, is Brandon Allen maybe?
I think so.
Yep. We've unfortunately had some bad luck with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Probably Tyler Boyd, the wide receiver. Well, that's like Denver a couple weeks ago where they had to play practice squad wide receiver at quarterback. Not that the guy from Denver was like 1 for 11. He struggled. That was the kid they pulled off the practice squad. He was put in a pretty tough spot.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name exactly. But I will say yesterday there were not a lot of really good NFL games.
No.
The 1 o'clock hour, most of the games were a couple touchdown lead. And then in the second hour, New Orleans came back and almost caught up to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And Atlanta and the Los Angeles Chargers couldn't decide who they wanted to win. I think they threw
That was 17-20.
3 interceptions to each other in the last couple minutes because neither team wanted to win. So it was pretty bad.
Well, what about the Seahawks?
But they do, but they still aren't winning very much.
The Seahawks.
The Seahawks,
They played the Jets.
they beat up on the Jets.
Oh, yeah. The Seahawks, they just swooped down on the Jets. 40-3.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was happy to see Kansas City win. And then the game tonight, actually, I'm looking for predictions tonight. So I'd love to hear from those of you watching online. Who's going to win the Baltimore-Cleveland game tonight? I want to do it by a show of hands. Who in here thinks Cleveland's going to win?
I don't know.
Nobody? Who in here thinks Baltimore's going to win? All right. Well, from here, from my perspective, Judy, it looks like a Baltimore win tonight.
Yep.
From what the crowd says. Oh, wait a minute. Nostradamus
of sports.
Yes, has a prediction on a score. What is that?
Baltimore 27, Pittsburgh 13. Cleveland 13.
Baltimore 27, Cleveland 13. Okay. Write that down. Take it to the bank. Take it to your bookie. Take it over to the casino because Larry always knows the scores.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yes, Melvin, we have a question.
The Browns still lose. They still got a spot for the wild card. I think they'd be tied.
Yes, they would still be in a spot for the wild card. The Browns will be. Yep, and you know what? We just celebrated it. And just the other week, we celebrated a very important anniversary here in Cincinnati. It was the anniversary of Sam Weich's great speech when we were playing the Seattle Seahawks and they were throwing snowballs on the field. When he said to the crowd, if you see somebody throw something onto the field, get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati. And every time I hear that speech by Sam Weich, I get goosebumps. Still, to this day.
You don't leave
Chris.
That's right.
That's right, man.
What's that? Sam Weich took us to the Super Bowl, yeah.
Right.
Surprisingly, I give Cleveland credit. They never really retaliated with anything back when we said that. They just kind of took it.
Well, they knew it was true.
Yeah, that's true. We do
true.
like to think of ourselves as the better city, I think.
Yes, definitely.
But Indians are no longer going to be called the Indians.
Well, I guess we're going to switch gears. That's a great point, Sean. Sean was just sharing that the Cleveland Indians are no longer going to be the Cleveland Indians. They're following in the footsteps of the Washington Redskins, who are now the Washington football team. And Cleveland, after 100 years, is dropping the Indians' name.
Wow.
And
Why?
well, Judy, that is a great question as to why.
Why?
And I'm going to have to be very careful in how I
Yes.
answer that because it's a very politically charged statement.
Yep, that's why I'm
So-
letting you take that.
So
that
I am
answer.
going to defer to the Cleveland franchise as to why they changed their name. So I know the trend is to move away from anything with the term, Redskins or Indians, as people find that to be offensive. And so that is, I don't know what they're going to do for a name. And I'm not even sure, like with Washington, if they're just going to be called the Washington football team, or are they going to have some other official name after it? Like, they used to be the Senators in baseball years ago.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't remember that, but I remember being the Senators. I don't actually remember the time, but yeah.
So we'll have to see what the names play out to be. I guess my question is when when was the last time Cleveland won a championship in baseball?
Oh, well, they had the chance to win
Did
in
they-
'94, but that
They
was the
came
strike.
really close. Yeah, and
They had a great team in '94, but then that was the baseball strike.
and they've been in the World Series. Yeah, they've all fantastic teams there for a while.
Yeah, they had a really good one.
And so I don't know if some of this too is the kind of, clearly I think that the number one reason is because the trend politically is not to have a name that, parts of society feel is offensive. But the other part could be too is that maybe they're trying to wipe the slate clean a little bit, that they haven't won in,
like
100
change
years.
their mojo.
Exactly. And that could be a small piece to it. That
It's very possible. Well, take for instance the Devil Rays in Tampa. Was it
Tampa Bay Devil? Yeah.
Yeah. They had Devil in their name.
They took the Devil out.
As soon as they took the name Devil out of their name, boom, they took off.
They did. You're right about that. I didn't think about that.
Mhm.
You're right about that.
It was the Tampa Bay Rays. And as soon as they took that out, boom, changed their mojo, changed the whole dynamics, changed everything for them, and then they took off.
And we'll give a shout out to James. James is out there watching and listening. Thank you for joining us, James. So I'm glad you brought that up about baseball, because it's we'll have to keep an eye on that and what that name change will be.
The Major League picture, the guy and the big glasses.
Oh, for Major League?
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's born with the 90 Reds.
He's a huge Reds fan because he, I believe, was born or grew up in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
So he's always been a big Reds fan.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Reds, free agency started in baseball. It's been pretty quiet. The Reds have done just a couple of small moves. In case you haven't been paying attention, they traded their closer. So if you remember Raisel Iglesias, he is now with the Anaheim Angels.
Oh, okay.
And wait a minute, we have. Thank you, James. We have 1948 was the last time Cleveland won the World Series.
Yep.
So 72 years ago, if my math is correct, my Recovery Center math.
I trust you, man.
Thank you. What's that, Larry?
I do not think Cleveland will win the World Series.
Cleveland, they've started to kind of sell off some of their best players. It'll depend. Their best player right now is Francisco Lindor. He's a shortstop, all-star.
Lindor.
If I know the Reds were interested in him, and the rumor has it Cleveland's been kind of shopping him around, and what they've been doing is what the Reds have done in the past, and other teams too, which is trading some of your best players for prospects to try to rebuild for the future.
Yeah.
They were looking at Didi Gregorius. They were looking at Marcus Semien, but this is just my gut feeling. I don't have any inside sources on this, but I think the Reds are kind of in a status quo. How can we cut a little bit of salary? Because to their credit, they went all in last year.
Yeah.
But the pandemic and it was just the worst year ever for the Reds to go all in because Trevor Bauer's probably not going to be re-signed. He's going to be too expensive. I just don't think the Reds are able to spend the money because they didn't bring in the money that they had hoped to last year. So, and they're not the only ones. When you look at free agency, there is like zero movement in baseball free agency. And I think a lot of that's because of the pandemic
Yep.
and the loss of revenue from last year.
Everybody got hurt on that one.
So, hey, Craig,
Everybody.
some of the players are signing up to go free agent.
What's that?
Some of the players are signing up to go free agent.
Yeah, some of them are free agents. Like our best pitcher, Trevor Bauer, is scheduled to be a free agent.
Cy Young Award.
Sonny Gray's still with us, and Luis Castillo's still there. But we'll talk a little bit more baseball when we get probably closer to February. That's when the pitchers and catchers start to report. Melvin, I see a hand up. We'll circle back to the Bengals because I got a plan for the Bengals and how to rebuild and get to the playoffs. But we're going to talk and switch gears for a little college football because I've gotten a few things in the chat about college football. The first one was, what a bummer, the Ohio State-Michigan game was being canceled.
Yeah. Oh, that was a bummer.
Well, yeah, but Ohio State, Michigan were supposed to have their annual rivalry game because, like a lot of schools, like Purdue and Indiana, their game was canceled as well as a lot of other big college games this year. So, unfortunately, we did not get to play Michigan, which would have been interesting to see because I had a kind of a bet with a friend that if Ohio State had beaten Michigan, I don't think Jim Harbaugh was going to keep his job at Michigan.
Oh,
I think that because I don't think he's beaten Ohio State yet during his time there. And that's one of the, the tenets of being an Ohio State or a Michigan coach is at some point you got to be able to beat the other team.
Yes.
And if you can't, your fan
Especially
base
your
starts
rival.
to turn on. Yes.
Your biggest rival.
The fans will start to turn on you.
Oh, yeah, they'll turn on you in a heartbeat.
But Melvin, you were right. Ohio State plays Northwestern, right, Larry?
And Northwestern's going to beat Ohio State 28-7.
Linda,
Yeah.
cover your ears, okay? Because Larry's saying Northwestern is going to beat Ohio State. What was that?
28-7.
All right.
8-7.
We're going to have to do one of our scientific polls. How many people here think Northwestern is going to beat Ohio State? Raise your hand. Just Larry? Wait a minute.
Larry.
How many people think Ohio State's going to beat Northwestern? All right. Well, Linda, the good news is the consensus is we think Ohio State is going to beat Northwestern except for Larry, who happens to be wearing a Michigan shirt today.
Yep.
A friend of mine.
Go
Larry,
Blue.
I will pay you not to wear that shirt
Ah.
to sport shorts and more.
So I had a friend that I graduated from high school with, and he's like 6'8". He played for Michigan, and Michigan was playing Ohio State, and he went up and blocked a field goal to end the game, and Michigan won.
Wow. It's been over 100 years since Ohio State and Michigan have not played. Thank you, Linda, for that information. And Larry, Linda has a message for you.
Can you read it on?
I may have to change the score because it'll be impossible to be 28-7. Michigan will Northwestern will win 28-13.
Oh, okay, Linda. Larry's improved. He says it will now be 28-13. He's giving Ohio State a few more points, but Larry, Linda has a message for you. She says, "Oh, Larry, I don't think so." So it sounds like we got our first, what was it, smack talk
Yeah.
going on here, which is good to see. That is a super dare right there. Well, we're gonna switch gears for a minute too and talk about a team that I like to follow, the UC Bearcats. And unfortunately, they haven't played in a couple of weeks. They've had the same problem a lot of other places have,
Right.
which is dealing with the COVID. But I believe their game against Tulsa has been rescheduled. And one of the questions from James was, does Cincinnati have a path to the college football playoffs? And I think UC is sitting, when it comes out today, they'll probably be sitting number 7 because Florida lost. Yes. So do they have a path? It would be very tough, I think, for you. I think UC is going to end up, unfortunately, being the odd one out at number 5. If you think about it, Ohio State's got to lose. Okay, and even then, if Ohio State loses, I don't know if they would bump UC ahead of them. I would think they would, but you just don't know. Because right now, Clemson has one loss to Notre Dame, and they're still ahead of Ohio State, who hasn't lost a game. And
Clemson looks good.
Cincinnati's going to win against Tulsa big time, 5-9.
we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's see if we can figure out a path. So Alabama plays, I think, Georgia. I thought that was it. So even because here's the thing, even if Alabama loses, the only other hope would be Clemson loses. So they play Notre Dame. So Clemson would have 2 losses. That would I think 2 losses would knock them behind UC. So that gets them up to 5th. But then you're talking about, you're going to need Alabama to lose. You're going to need Ohio State to lose. And even if they do, I just don't know if they would put UC ahead of them, which leaves UC sitting at number 5. So I hope Luke Fickell never leaves unless he becomes the head coach of the Bengals one day. But in that case, I don't want that to be the case because then it means we're not doing well again next year, and I want us to do well.
Top 4 teams in 4 games.
So we've got, wait a minute. Thank you, James. It's Saturday the 19th. It's going to be Florida versus Alabama. It's going to be the game to watch.
Gators.
No, there's a Florida Gators.
Gators.
And Linda pointed out that Urban Meyer was very frustrated with the cancellation of the Ohio State game. He never fell to Michigan during his tenure at Ohio State, going a perfect 7-0 in the rivalry series. And I think the head coach of Ohio State is what, 2-0 against them? They're either 1-0 or 2-0. I can't remember how long. Linda, how long has Urban been gone? Is it 2 games against Michigan that they've missed? But the coach at Ohio State's done a great job.
What's his name? Mike Day?
His last name is Day. Brian Day, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So Larry has a prediction for the UC Tulsa game. And what is that prediction, Larry?
UC 35, Tulsa 9.
UC 35? Woohoo!
Tulsa 9.
Tulsa 9? I like it.
49-0.
So Tulsa's not a bad team. Tulsa's ranked. I think they were ranked like 25th, 24th.
24.
So it'll be a good test for the Bearcats. And hey, look, if Sean, like you're saying, if we beat them 49-0, and put an impressive win like that, maybe we can jump ahead of one of those big teams. We'll just have to see what happens.
Possible.
More than below UC, actually.
What's that, Larry?
The people more than below UC, aren't they?
They would be now because Florida lost a game over the weekend to LSU, which was great to see because unfortunately, I think the Florida player got a 15-yard penalty for throwing a shoe. He tackled the guy from LSU, and in the process of tackling him, pulled his shoe off. And instead of, I guess, and I haven't seen the video yet, but instead of giving the shoe back, he took the shoe and threw it down the field. Gave him a 15-yard penalty, which allowed LSU to, I guess, continue on their drive and kick a game-winning field goal.
Wow.
So
Threw a shoe.
there's been a few college games with those kind of scores.
Colorado game was fun. That snow field?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was kind of the neat thing about the Buffalo Steelers game last night was you could see it kind of sleeting and snowing during the game last night. I love watching football when you got that little added element to it.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like it.
So, all right. So we talked about the Bengals. I'm going to share my I'm going to call my 5-point plan for them to make it to the playoffs for next year.
Okay.
All right. So
I'm ready.
So Linda or anybody out there watching, if you know Mike Brown of the front office, let them know because this is the plan that will get them to the playoffs. So the first thing that they need to do is in free agency, they need to first take care of their own. They need to get William Jackson signed, who's the cornerback. So whether he's franchise tagged or whether he signed a long-term contract, they need to go ahead and sign him. They need to address the defense through free agency. We need another defensive tackle and another defensive end. so that we can apply pressure to the quarterback. The way you win in the NFL is you got to have pressure on the quarterback. And so I'd like to see them do that. We could probably use another linebacker to help out. They're young. Josh Bynes has done a really nice job this year. But, I think we're going to need another veteran presence to kind of help out the linebacking crew and help the young guys. I know he's done a good job grooming the young guys. So it'd be nice to kind of have one more veteran presence on the linebacking crew. Offensively, you address their needs through the draft. And you do that. One of the things I would do is I would move Jonah Williams, who's their first-round pick tackle from a year ago, 2 years ago, move him to a guard. And then with the third pick, there's a young guy out of Oregon. Pick him as a tackle and solidify one half of that offensive line and make that one side of the line rock solid, A+, that Joe Burrow's backside is going to be protected. Mm-hmm. And if you're running the ball, you can run it to that side and really, pancake and bulldoze some people out of the way. And then use your other draft picks to get, my guess is A.J. Green will probably not be back. Use your second-round pick on maybe a wide receiver. Use your third-round pick on maybe another running back or another interior lineman. And you do those things, and I think you'll see this team, especially with Joe Burrow leading the way if he comes back healthy, which I think he will.
Oh, yeah. He's going to come
making
back.
strides towards the playoffs.
Yeah.
You better come back.
Yes, Michael.
Right, Judy?
He's coming back.
You think you need Joe Burrow? You think you need back, Judy?
What's your prediction?
Joe Burrow?
Do the same thing. You know that this last quarterback is taking this play. You see how that game went. When Burrow got taken out, I was thinking for a temporary thing. This one came in and took his place. The second victim really took him out. So this third one, they despaired him.
Did they?
Yeah, we lost the game, but they spared him.
Okay.
Who won the Army-Navy game?
Actually, Judy, can you look that one up? See who won does anybody know who won the Army-Navy game?
No.
Who won the Army-Navy game?
I think it was, I ain't sure.
Which sport?
Football.
Army beat Navy by a score of 15-0 last Saturday.
15-0 Army.
Story to tell.
And it makes sense when you look at the records. Army was 8-2 and Navy was 3-7. That makes sense.
I have a story to tell.
Yes, go ahead. Sean has a story.
My dad died when I was young in York Purcell. Staubach was there. And when my dad was at Christ Hospital dying, Roger Staubach wrote my family a personal letter labeled with the Cowboys symbol, and he said, "Sorry to hear for the loss. Anything I can give to you and your family, let me know." So I told my mom yesterday and said, next time I see my friend Greg, I'm going to ask him to tell Roger Staubach to give me an autograph jersey.
So your dad played at Purcell when Roger was there?
My dad didn't play. He was there, I think, a year or two, right around there.
Okay. Yeah, my dad played for Elder, and him and his buddies still talk about the game where Elder played Purcell Marion, where Roger Staubach was the quarterback. And Roger is actually I guess through some business dealings, has contact with some of these guys still from Purcell and Elder that were in the game. And it was a very controversial game of where Roger ran for a touchdown. It was like a 77-yard touchdown at the end of the game. And the Elder folks felt like he stepped out of bounds, but the referee didn't call it. So, even, how many years later was this? This is now 50-something years later. They still joke and give each other a hard time about whether or not Roger was in bounds. And there's no clear video or camera to show if he was or not. Princeton? Yeah, Princeton's Princeton's on the way up. They're trending up with high school sports. So it'd be good to see them because they were fun to watch today.
Sure.
Well, I think we were almost out of sports topics. I think what I'd like to do is just kind of wrap it up with usually I did not bring any wisdom of wooden today.
No.
So I'm going to share 3 things that I've been trying to instill in my kids. So I don't know if this would be the wisdom of Pedoto or not. I don't know if I'd call it necessarily wisdom, but it's more your common sense thing. So I told my kids that there's 3 things that I like them to live by. And one is kind of that golden rule, treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Right.
Okay. And I've been always trying to instill that since they were a young age.
That's what I do.
Number 2 is I told them the quote, what I had, I gave, what I saved, I lost. And what that means is give one, not that you got to give your belongings away, but give of yourself. When you're doing something, give 100% to that, to that cause, to that event, to that activity.
Yep.
Okay. And then number 3 was actions speak louder than words.
Yep.
And that people will say a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah.
And I especially told them this when they were trying to figure out who to vote for. I said, don't listen to their words.
Yeah.
Read about and look about what are their actions and what have they accomplished and what have they done. They're going to tell you they've done all these wonderful things.
Yeah.
Or they're going to do all these
Talk
wonderful things. But that's right. Talk is cheap. So look it up and see what they've actually done and then make your decisions based on that. Yes, Michael.
You on the same wave line up with two girls. One thing, treat people with respect. You can't get respect unless you earn it. And number 2, always do something nice for somebody, because you will get it back in return.
Yep,
And number
karma.
3, don't be selfish and greedy.
Michael, those are wonderful. In fact, let's do them one at a time, just so everybody can hear them online. It was 1, treat people with respect.
You treat people with respect if you want to get respect.
Yep. So in order to get respect, you got to give respect. Yep. Okay.
Another thing, you want to do something nice for somebody, that's a good thing too, because you want to get that in return.
Do something nice for others because you get that in return.
Good karma.
Another thing, on what you were telling them and breaking it down about not being selfish and greedy and not being all that, you can still do good, but don't be like that. Because there are a lot of people like that in this world, selfish and don't care. Some good morals. Some real good morals.
I'm trying to think of how the quote goes. There's a quote that I liked. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And Linda, she says she agrees with those, and she taught her kids those as well. Let's see, I got to put my glasses on. I'll taught her kids the same thing, and I think, Michael, thank you for sharing those. I think
I teach them that because, like I told, this world is not handed to you. This world was made for you to go to track tribulations of life. That's true.
Yep.
Death do you part.
Well,
you got to live your life to your own fullness.
Live your life to your fullest. I agree.
You do good in life, you'll be successful. You do bad in life, you won't be successful. Well,
and there's I think it was Tom Cruise said it pretty good one time too, that the way it's just kind of his view on life. And what he says is, in life, you've got 2 options. You can either sit on the sidelines and watch life, or you can be part of the game and go out and live your life. And that's why, when you see the movies he does, I know he's into all these adventurous things and things like that. That's because he's chosen to live his life.
What he's saying is to sit on your behind and let life pass you by. But when that last caboose comes, you jump on that last caboose, or you're just going to sit there waiting on it.
Yep. No,
life will pass you by. Life is too short now.
You're right. You should jump in the game. And I'd be remiss if I missed this because this was an important thing that happened over the weekend. Linda pointed out that Vanderbilt kicker Sarah Fuller made history again as the first woman to score points in a Power 5 game. So
wow.
We'd have to look at, I don't know if it was an extra point or a field goal, but congratulations to Sarah Fuller. And I think that is a great place for us to wrap up.
We got one more thing.
Oh, what do we have? What do we got?
Apparently Adrian Amos who lost his grandmother to Alzheimer's this year, he has dedicated his 2020 season to a fundraising effort. He decided to honor her with action. Every tackle he gets during the 2020 season, he plays for the Packers. He's donating $1,000 to Alzheimer's Association.
And he's raised over $50,000
as of today.
Talk about action speaking louder than words. That's putting your money where your mouth is right there.
Yes.
That's impressive.
I saw that and I thought, oh, I got to say something about that because that's great.
That's awesome. Well, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and we will see you all next week.
Chris, I have some wonderful news to tell everybody.
Yeah, what's that?